Welcome back, and to continue shedding more light and speaking about this dazzling, magnificent event which took place a few days ago, the Grand Royal Parade, the 22 mummies which were transferred from the iconic Tahrir Square Museum to the new Egyptian National Egyptian Museum in Al-Fustat in Old Cairo. We are very much delighted to have with us live here in the studio our dear guest, Mr. Yahya Abdul, our tourism expert. Thank you very much for being with us, sir. And we are going to start immediately, as we do have a lot to speak about. Well, I'd like you, sir, to speak about or to elaborate on the wonderful reactions by the whole world to this royal parade.
Well, thank God, like we have our great ancestors that left us, like cherishable, and prestigious history ahead of us. The whole world media really loaded, like the parade as, like elaborate, magnificent, extravaganza, impressive, sensational, phenomenal. And I was reviewing media, like the last 2 days, like worldwide, and I have seen the reaction. And even friends, like as tour guides, like Walid and Raad, they tell me that everybody's watching the parade now. They like to come again for the second and third time to visit Egypt because they've been moved, like by the sophistication of the World Parade. And we have to thank President Abdul Sisi really for allocating a major, like fund and budget for, like the Royal Parade of the Pharaohs and the Queens. And again for the development of the Al-Fustat National Museum for Civilization.
This was going to be my coming question regarding this museum, the NMEC, and how it's going to be another source of pride to all of us. On the 18th of April, it's going to be officially inaugurated with the presence of the mummies, and it's going to coincide with the World Heritage Day. If you want to elaborate on this.
Yes, definitely. We've been delighted, by the great opening, like and the Royal Parade that has been witnessed by the whole world, really. Mm-hmm. And for those who love Egypt, like and the enthusiasts, like and aficionados worldwide, we have seen, like Her Excellency Miss Audrey Azoulay, Director General of the UNESCO. Mm-hmm. She's spending nearly like 4 or 5 nights in Egypt, like touring the tourist facilities, as well as Mr. Shekveli, the Secretary General of the World Tourism Organization. They've been, like associated with the President for the grand opening of the Fustat Museum. So this is really one of the prestigious points, like in our history. And the museum, like over there in the Fustat area, this has been like the first capital established in Egypt, 1642, as we all know, and it is bordered by Ain Sira, like lake. The museum in itself, like it covers like hundreds of acres of land, and it has a sophisticated, like display area where we have mummies and artifacts that dates back to 30,000 years ago, up to the like current and contemporary, like collection that we have seen during the opening with the Minister of Tourism and the Director of the museum itself. Apart from that, it has sophisticated facilities, like a 3D movie theater, sophisticated as well theater that accommodates 500 attendants, and a state-of-the-art convention and conference facilities.
Yeah, and the way to display the mummies, also the glass box which is filled only with nitrogen to make sure that everything is preserved, and the mummies were also transferred in this capsule of nitrogen, another creation, another invention by Dr. Mustafa Ismail, the Director General of the NMEC. Congratulations to him and to all the teams behind the camera which turned this issue into a story of success. And sir, also President Abdul Sisi was keen to receive Mrs. Audrey Azoulay himself and to speak more and more about how to boost cooperation between Egypt and UNESCO. Let's not forget that the NMEC is one of the fruitful results of the cooperation between Egypt and this UN entity.
Definitely, like the location and the museum itself and the site has been, like the brainchild of the UNESCO organization that's 40 years ago. We're talking about 1982. And we have to thank Dr. Farouk Hosni, like who was the Minister of Culture at the time, and he worked hard for this project, like to be developed, as we have seen last Saturday. President Sisi, he met Her Excellency Ms. Audrey, and one of the conclusions of the visit that she is regarding now the building itself of the Cairo Museum of Antiquities as a heritage on the list of the worldwide historical and archaeological sites. And I would like to add, she has been touring the Egyptian facilities in Luxor, archaeological sites in Aswan and Abu Simbel as well. And again, the whole Egypt is like 1 million square kilometers.
Yeah.
I look forward that she considered all of Egypt as a historical sites and heritage, because wherever you go in Egypt, we have antiquities.
I myself wanted her to go to San al-Hagar, for example, to Sharqiyya, because the Sharqiyya also is another open museum and can be another Luxor, or it's the Thebes of the Delta. I'm a fanatic when it comes to this.
That should be the upcoming event.
The upcoming event, inshallah.
Yeah.
But let's return back to the NMEC, because it's really amazing to find this huge museum and to be inaugurated and to receive whether Egyptians or foreigners from all over the world. How do you see the way it's introduced to the whole world, and how this is going to change our tourism map?
Really, it has been really, to sum it up, it's been like a touch of class. Everybody has been moved, by the parade, by the ceremony, by the music, the orchestra, the modules, the fashion. They have been maybe over 1 year, planning and development for this event. And I have to thank again some of the graduates of the College of Tourism, University of Hilwan, Mr. Muhammad Saari and Ihab Gohar. Both of them, they worked hard with the musicians, orchestra, Maestro Nadir Abbasi, the Gale musicians. There was over 200, of the cast, performing. They performed too long, over 2 hours.
2 hours.
This is very consuming. So really, it has a very prestigious event, and the whole world, worldwide, equivocally, all of them, they appreciated that and they liked it. Some people called it like a Hollywood production. Other,
No, it's better. At least it's more civilized. I mean, it enjoyed this huge, rich cultural heritage we have.
Yes.
And the wonderful, as we were speaking just before being on air, the wonderful choice of Maestro Nadir Abbasi with the female performers who just resemble those female performers on the walls of our temples. Sir, how do you see the coming period of the fruitful cooperation between us and UNESCO? I mean, do you think that more workshops are going to be made to boost the skills of our human cadres in this field, or this is going only to be a first step in a long road?
Well, definitely, I thank you for this brilliant question, because for example, we have about at least 30 colleges, of tourism, archaeology and Egyptology and tour guiding in Egypt. And one of the programs that has been initiated 10 years ago at the College of Tourism, Hilwan University, is a heritage program with Heidelberg German University, where students from Germany and from Egypt, they will work, tirelessly for 3 years to work on preservation and renovation and conservation, all these sophisticated aspects of protecting and preserving archaeological artifacts, sites, temples, and findings, and the discoveries. As remember, past 6 months, we had hundreds of mummies, unearthed at the Saqqara necropolis.
We do have 80 expeditions, 80 campaigns, and we do have archaeologists, only Egyptians, and this is very important. But sir, let me go to Ain Sira Lake, and let me go to this wonderful place, or this wonderful route of the parade, which really said that Egypt's modern civilization is the right legal extension of our old civilization. How do you see, sir, this way to represent Egypt in its modern era?
Well, really, whole world media and our friends worldwide, they have been mesmerized, and us too. I watched the parade, and the ceremony, but I still, when I watched 10, 15 times later, I discovered there are many things that I overlooked, in the first time. It's so intricate, the way it has been performed. And that's why we've been receiving, all this, accolade worldwide, that people have been to Egypt 5, 6 times, they like to come back, because the Al Fustat Museum for Civilization is just like a new niche. It's like a new fruit, you know, like a passion fruit on the table. Everybody would like to have a taste of it. And we remember one day after the opening, there was hundreds and thousands of Egyptians who were enthusiastic, you know, like young men families. He wanted to go and discover, you know, like this new episode that has been, you know, like developed and modeled for 40 years. So, and then they've been very kind. They made like accessible, free for students of archaeology, of history, of fine arts, Ministry of Colleges of Tourism. So really we have to make, you know, like museums and visits and tours an integral part for the curriculum for all students, like from age 8 or 10, you know, like until like college and university.
Yeah.
This is because they recognize their history, they become proud of it. So that gives them, you know, like an inspiration.
We are going to teach our kids how to write in hieroglyphic. This is going to be a new step. I mean, I'd like my son or my daughter to write her name in hieroglyphic.
The cartouche, yeah.
The cartouche. Well, sir,
definitely.
Whenever you do have a jewel in your hand, maybe you don't appreciate its value that much because it's already in your hand.
Yeah.
But when you look at the eyes of Mrs. Audrey, for example, or Mr. Zorab, of the director of the UNWTO, you find that they were mesmerized in front of our civilization. How to raise awareness among even the Egyptians of the big value we have, the rich heritage we enjoy, and to urge them to visit those places, even to teach their kids how much we are rich in this.
Exactly, you know, like we've been familiar with our culture, but really for the past 12 months, we had, you know, like a series, you know, like a chain of, you know, like new openings, you know, like in Sharm el-Sheikh Museum and Hurghada Museum. That's in like it's a private.
And in Kafr Sheikh even. Exactly,
this one in Hurghada is an association, you know, like a joint venture between private sector and Ministry of Culture and Antiquities. And again, you know, like we had, you know, like on last Saturday, the grand opening of the Al Fustat Museum, and still we are working to, inshallah, to open the Grand Egyptian Museum next October. So all this, you know, like, and the discovery that were taking place, and even, you know, like the sun boat, you know, like there's 2 sun boats. One of them is going to be reassembled and conserved and, you know, like protected.
By
know, like,
Egyptian hands.
Exactly.
And this is very important.
And kept at the Grand Egyptian Museum. So all this really is stirring the enthusiasm and imagination of Egyptians.
And to instill the sense of belonging to the new generation, sir. The sense of belonging is very important, and to ensure that every single step you are having on our land is precious.
Definitely, and remember one great thing about Al Fustat Museum, that next to it we have a training center, you know, like for skills and craft, for glassware, for copper, for silver, for leather, for wood carving, for sculpture, for pottery. And I think the Arab League, she had like an associate program to call, you know, like we have like 23 countries in the Arab League, the young men and women, the artisan, you know, like to come and, you know, like develop and upgrade the skills at the center. So this should be like, you know, like a pan-Arab, you know, like training center. And even President Sisi is recommending that we invite artisans from Africa as well. So this museum with its like large area of hundreds of acres, and we have again the recreation area in Ain Sira, as you've been mentioning, with ride boats, you know, like, and food and beverage facilities, you know, like an attraction. So really Cairo is proud to have, you know, like an ancillary that is going to be, you know, like enjoyed by its citizens and visitors.
Many people thought that the inauguration of the NNEC is going to take the attention from this iconic museum in Tahrir Square. True?
Definitely not, because, you know, like the Tahrir Square has been there for 130 years, for like 3 centuries now, because they started building it in
and it was inaugurated in 1902.
Exactly. So it was going for 3 centuries now. And this is the classic museum, you know, like it was built as that's why Miss Audrey, you know, like Her Excellency, she is considering it to be in the list of World Heritage for museum. And this is one of the fruits and outcome of the great Golden Parade that we had last Saturday.
Well, you are always an added value to our program, sir, and we hope that we are going to see you more and more in our episodes. Thank you very much for being with us. We were very much delighted to have with us Mr. Yahya Abdul, our tourism expert. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Well, before I go, I should say that all those behind the camera who held this or organized this event, the Royal Parade, they really put those who are going to be responsible for the inauguration of the gym in a critical position. What we should do more. But I'm sure that we are going to have many surprises and we are going to dazzle the whole world once again when it comes to Egypt. Egypt is always on top. Well, on behalf of my dear colleagues, Rasha Al-Maghrabi, Dalia Abdelgawad, Mahiste Rabia, Noah Dhulfuqar, Mona Tammam, Yasser Abdul Maqsood, and myself, Nermeen Abdurrahman, many thanks for watching. Stay tuned only on Nile TV International.